Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Sri Wahyuni. Today I will do my second project of classroom management, and in here I will explain about teaching tolerance, helping students handle anger, frustration, and aggression, and then dealing with destructive behaviors. For the first time, I will explain about teaching tolerance. Teaching tolerance and appreciation for diversity is essential in children's education. However, modern society still struggles with racism, prejudice, and discrimination. Classrooms are naturally diverse, ethnic, religious, economic, and others. And while this can enrich learning, it can also lead to conflict if not managed with tolerance. Next, how intolerance develops. Children develop awareness of differences early, and prejudice is reinforced by family, peers, media, and institutions. The development of intolerance is complex and not fully understood. Next, reducing prejudice. The first is children with better problem solving skills are less likely to be prejudiced. Students who are good at problem solving and thinking critically are less likely to show prejudice. Second, strong self-concept reduces intolerance. Those with strong self-esteem tend to be more open and accepting. And the last is environments that value tolerance promote tolerance behavior. And if children grow up in an environment where tolerance is the norm, they are more likely to become tolerant individuals. So our role is to build those environments, starting in the classroom. Next, valuing constructive diversity in the classroom. The first is give students choices. Let them choose how they learn something even if the context stays the same. And second, open-end activities. This show that there's more than one way to solve a problem. And the third, accept different approaches. If a student wants to do something differently, consider saying yes if it works. And then encourage student contributions. Let students bring their culture and interests into the classroom. And celebrate differences verbally. Use language that highlights diversity as good thing. And the last is be self-aware. Reflect on your own behaviors and attitudes towards students. Are you treating everyone fairly? This part is difficult but very important. As teachers, we must honestly examine how we treat students. Next is conclusion. Building a tolerant classroom starts with intentional teaching practice and honest self-reflection. Encouraging, understand, and valuing differences can reduce prejudice and promote a more inclusive environment. Okay, next, I will explain about helping students handle anger, frustration, and aggression. Anger, frustration, and aggression are natural emotional responses in students. These emotions are not bad by themselves, but if unmanaged, they can lead to harmful behavior and classroom disruptions. Children often don't know how to express emotions appropriately. Instead of saying, I'm hurt, they may throw things or yell. Instead of asking for help, they might give up or act out. As educators, we are not only responsible for academics but also for helping students learn emotional self-regulations. Next, common causes of anger and aggressions in students. The first is academic struggle. For example, they feel dumb or discouraged. And the second, lack of attention. For example, they feel invisible or ignored. And the third is peer conflict. For example, teasing, bullying, or exclusion. And the fourth is problems at home, such as family stress, divorce, or abuse. And then low self-esteem. For example, they feel worthless or unloved. And then the emotional vocabulary. For example, they can describe their feelings in words, and the last is a need for control. For example, especially in children who feel powerless. Next is signs that a student is struggling emotionally. The first is frequent tantrums or yelling, and then defiance, refusing to follow rules or challenging authority, and then withdrawal, like silence, lack of participation, and then aggression, like hitting, pushing, breaking things, and then mood swings, for example, logging, then crying, or sudden anger. And then the last is physical symptoms, for example, headaches, stomachs, without medical reason. And then next is strategies to help students cope with anger and frustration. The first is create a safe classroom environment. Second, teach emotional vocabulary. And the third, be a role model of calmness. And then next, use the escalation techniques. Next, give students a sense of control and allow movement and breaks. And the last is teach problem solving skills. Next, what to avoid. The first is don't yell or shame student. Second, don't punish without asking why the behavior happened. And the third, don't assume it's just bad behavior. And the last is don't ignore the behavior. Next, building long-term emotional strengths. The first, prize their calm choice. For example, I noticed you took a deep breath before speaking. That was great. And the second, talk about emotions during lessons, stories, or morning meetings. And the third, use group discussion to build empathy. For example, how would you feel if that happened to you? And the fourth, collaborate with school counselors if needed. And the fifth is work with families. Emotional growth takes teamwork. Next is conclusion. Anger, frustration are signal, not enemies. Students don't need punishment, they need guidance, tools, and support. When we help students manage emotions, we're not just making the classroom peaceful, we are preparing them for life. Next, I will explain about dealing with destructive behaviors. Destructive behavior refers to action by students that interfere with teaching and learning in the classroom. These behaviors can first stop the child and others from learning, steal the teacher's attention from the rest of the class, and then interrupt the flow of lessons and classroom activities. Next example of destructive behaviors, for example, clowning, talking without permission, constantly arriving late, leaving the classroom without permission, reading unrelated materials, for example, newspaper during class, eating or drinking without permission, verbally abusing or insulting others, refusing to follow instructions, harassing or threatening students or teachers, and then demanding excessive attention in and out of class. Next, how to handle clowning. The first is don't give too much attention. Second, avoid embarrassing the student in front of others. And then don't label them like calling them class clown. And fourth, speak to them privately. For example, you can say that I know you want to make people laugh, but your jokes are making it hard to teach. And the last is have a respectful, honest conversation and request their cooperation. Next is how to prevent destructive behavior. The first is set expectations early. For example, discuss classroom rules and norms on the first day, and then remind students you expect responsible behavior. Second, involve students in rule making. For example, ask students what behaviors they think are important for a good classroom. And the third, create a behavior contract. For example, write a simple agreement with class rules and then ask students to sign it during the first week. And the fourth is be a role model. For example, dress and act professionally and show the respectful behavior you want them to follow. And the fifth is use authority wisely. For example, you can use professional title like professor to command respect. Next is conclusion. Disruptive behaviors are not just annoying, they affect the learning rights of the whole class. As a teacher, your job is not just to stop the behavior, but to guide students to act responsible while keeping a positive learning environment. Okay, this is my second part of my project, and in here I have to solve some problem. And then for the first problem, there are some way to solve. The first is create a behavior plan. This gives Alex clear goals and helps him understand what is expected of him. It also involves regular check-ins to see how he is doing. And the second is teach emotional skills. By learning how to express his feelings in a healthy way, Alex can reduce his aggressive outbursts and interact better with classmates. And the third is create a safe space. This space can help him calm down and use tools like stress ball to manage his emotions before they lead to aggressive behaviors. Next, for the second problem, there are some ways to solve. The first is use different teaching methods. This keeps lessons interesting and caters to different learning styles, which can help students stay focused. And the second is set up a point system. This visual reminder encourages students to pay attention and rewards them for good behavior. And the third is clearly set expectations. When students know what is expected of them, they are more likely to stay focused and avoid distractions. Next, the third problem. For the third problem, there are some ways to solve. The first is create a behavior contract. This gives Jack a sense of responsibility for his actions and a clear understanding of what he needs to do to behave well. And the second is use positive reinforcement. Recognizing and rewarding good behavior encourages Jack to keep it up and reduce disruptive actions. And the third is allow short breaks. These breaks can help him release energy and return to class more focused, reducing the chance of him being destructive. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you so much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.